All right, so the New York Knicks, I have only talked about one time on this channel this season, and that was when I made a video about Mikal Bridges' struggles so far this season and how he's been bringing this team down. But in today's video, I want to put a different slant on the New York Knicks, and I want to talk about the great things that are happening with this team, especially centered around guys like Karl-Anthony Towns and OG Anunoby, two recent additions to the Knicks. Obviously, OG was a trade deadline addition last season. Cat in the offseason trading Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo to the Timberwolves, brought Cat in, and I think these additions have worked better than the Knicks really could have ever expected. They have some issues, but those two guys are absolutely not a part of the issue whatsoever this season and have been massive parts of the Knicks' impressive offensive resurgence and maintained defensive ability. So before we hop into it, if y'all haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me push towards the 2,000 subscriber mark on the channel. We hit 1K a couple days ago. Really appreciate all y'all's recent support on the channel. And without further ado, let's hop right into it. Let's break down this Knicks game. This is the only game tonight, Monday night, as I record this video, was Knicks Raptors. So I was kind of going to make a video on the winner of this game regardless. Just happened to be the Knicks, and Karl-Anthony Towns finishes 7 of 13, 2 of 5 from 3, including a game-winning dagger. They were up 2 with 8 seconds left, but he drilled a 3-ball to put it to make it a 5-point game and put that out of reach. 15 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 24 points, and a team high plus 10 tonight. OG did not actually have one of his better games, only 14 points, 6 of 14, 2 of 9 from 3. Not an exceptional OG Anunoby performance, but in his own right, he did have 3 blocks, 2 steals, 3 blocks. So again, not amazing for OG, but Cat had a great game, and the Knicks find a way to get the job done. Mikal Bridges with an efficient game as well as nice. He's been playing better as of late, and that's something that needs to be sustained for the Knicks to reach their peak potential. They need Mikal Bridges to be more of a guy who plays like he's worth a bunch of first-round picks and not like a easily replaceable role player. With that being said, when you look at the numbers this season, the most impressive part at the end of the day is the efficiency from guys like, well, especially Cat. When you talk about efficiency, you got to start with Cat because he's shooting 45% from 3 this year on over 5 attempts a game. He's almost 57% from 2-point range, playing with more physicality, I think, than we are used to seeing as NBA fans, I would say. Cat looks more physical this year. He's rebounding the ball at a ridiculous level. He's averaging 25 and 13, really providing that inside center ability at times offensively and defensively while being an elite floor spacer as well. When you look at his numbers compared to his previous career averages, when he was early in his career in Minnesota, he had these 12 rebound seasons and was kind of that type of player, but certainly hasn't been the last couple of years, especially with Gobert in the mix the last couple seasons. But even before that, was not the same type of rebounder that he has been this season. You can tell there's a recommitted physicality around the way that Cat's playing. He's trying to, it seems like, prove people wrong, prove Minnesota wrong. They shouldn't have traded him, all that type of stuff. And he is having an incredible year in pretty much every single aspect. He's improved physicality wise, and his spacing and efficiency is better than ever. He's having an incredible season. And Josh Hart obviously is having the most efficient season of any player in the sport. 67% effective field goal percentage is still ridiculous. He's 72.5% from inside the 3-point line, which is just bonkers. He's having a ridiculous year. OG Anunoby's averaging about 18 and 5, having himself a really good season as well. As of late, Jalen Brunson has really gotten his efficiency rolling as well. Almost 43% from 3 this year, having an incredible year. Still very much probably the Knicks' best player, but I think Cat very much is in the discussion there. And it's a rare commodity, even in today's NBA, to have the amount of talent this Knicks team has with guys like Brunson and Towns as 2 legit co-stars. And then OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, Deuce McBride, guys like that filling in around the edges, being able to play at a super duper elite level so far this year. Now, at the end of the day, the question mark with this Knicks team is going to be 2 things. Always going to be health. Tom Thibodeau plays his players a ton, always near the tops of the league in terms of minutes per game. And the other question is depth. Or can you rely on guys like Precious Achiuwa, Campaign, Ariel Hukporti, guys like that to be contributors? Is Dadier from their first-round pick going to be a contributor at some point? Because he's done almost nothing this season. They have realistically about 6 or 7 guys, and then after that it becomes some real question marks, and they will get Mitchell Robinson back at some point, probably in January or February, and that will be a nice addition as well. But as of right now, there's not a ton of depth to this team, and injuries could be a real killer for a squad that doesn't have a ton of depth to recover for it. But when you look at what New York is doing this year as compared to these last few seasons, you see where they've really impressed this year. They're 8.6 point differential is the best that they have had since these stats basically started being tracked, which is 03-04. It's the best the Knicks have ever looked as a team. Their expected wins per 82 right now, based on their point differential, is over 60. They're actually underperforming more than almost any team in the league by win differential at only 14-9 so far. About 3 wins less than expected for their point differential so far this season. They are number 1 in the league in points per possession, number 2 in effective field goal percentage, number 3 in turnover percentage. They don't turn the ball over much. They're about average rebounding wise, which is good. Free throw rate, I mean, they a little bit below average, but still not too bad. And you look at the defensive stats, look, they're not quite as good as they were last year when the Knicks were obviously very, very good, but they're not that far behind. I mean, they're rebounding the ball about the same. They're fouling about the same. They're giving up a little bit more efficiency, a little bit more points per possession overall, but they're still a fine defense and they're a great offense. And I think the improvements offensively this season are really what puts this team right in the mix to be a serious threat in the Eastern Conference this year. And I do think the defense will actually improve as the season progresses. Hopefully, Mikal Bridges continues to improve on the defensive end of the court. Bringing back Mitchell Robinson as a bench big will help as well with those types of analytics and those types of numbers for sure, because that's what he provides at a very high level. But you just can't overlook the amount of impressive performances so far this season from guys like Cat and Anunoby. Both those guys playing at an all-star level. Cat will be an all-star. I doubt OG Anunoby will be, but there's a ton of Eastern Conference reserves that could be big question marks in terms of who actually gets those spots due to some injury stuff and underperformance by guys like Tyrese Halliburton, players like that. So who knows? Maybe OG Anunoby will find himself in the All-Star game as well. But I think the Knicks have 2 bona fide All-Stars in Brunson and Cat, and a ton of high-level versatility around those guys that really provides this team with the ability to, especially now that the Magic are without Franz Wagner, likely for the next 2 months or so, still going to be without Paulo for about another month and have a relatively tough upcoming schedule. When you look at that, the Knicks have played 2 less games than the Magic and are in a game behind the Magic right now in the standings. Realistically, this looks like the third best team in the East, and I think they will solidify their spot as that 3 seed here over the next few weeks as the Magic, unfortunately, face injury struggles. But it gives the Knicks the opportunity to really establish themselves as that next team up after the Cavs and after the Celtics, both of whom are obviously having ridiculously incredible seasons. But don't forget about the Knicks. Do not forget about this team, because with the amount of spacing that they can have on the court, the impressive high-level offense that they are being able to run, and I think a defense that will continue to improve as the season progresses, and a ton of high-level, versatile, skilled athletes on this squad, I think the Cat trade did this team good, and I think they are really well positioned to be a serious threat in the Eastern Conference playoffs this year. There will be no easy series against the New York Knicks. Let's put it that way. The Celtics and the Cavs, neither of those teams are going to match the Knicks in the second round if that's what winds up happening. And I feel that like that's an easy matchup. Like, the Knicks are going to be a tough out for anybody and are a serious threat in the Eastern Conference this season. Are they in my top tier of contenders? No, not right now. Could injuries change that? Yes. Either way, they're 100% about one thing going their way away from being a serious finals contender. And it's going to be an interesting second half, or not second half. We're not quite to the halfway point, obviously, yet of the season. We're not there yet. We'll be there in about a month, but it'll be an interesting chunk of time for sure to see how this Knicks team progresses as the season goes on, because they're starting to play better. And if that continues, they're going to be in a really good spot, I think, for the second half of the year. With that being said, that's going to do it for the video. Hope y'all did enjoy. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I will be back with more NBA content very, very soon. I appreciate y'all. Peace.